In the lush lands of Olorun village, nestled deep with the embrace of ancient Yoruba forest, there was a tale whispered among the people, a tale of twins who were under the shadow of a blood moon. These twins, kehinde and Taiwo, were not like the other children of the village. From the moment they took their first breath, an aura of mystery and fear surrounded them. The twins were born to Aduni, a priestess in the village. Her pregnancy had been foretold by the village oracle, who had spoken a prophecy a night when the moon would rise, heralding the birth of two children who would be both a blessing and a curse to the village. On the night of their birth, the sky was a deep untarred red as the blood moon rose high above the treetops. The villagers huddled in their homes, fearful of what the night might bring, as Aduni labored in her small hut. The air outside grew heavy, and the winds whispered ominous secrets. Finally, the cries of the twins pierced the night air, and their arrival, a strange stillness settled over the village. Kehinde, the elder by mere seconds, was born first, followed swiftly by Taiwo. But unlike other newborns, these twins did not cry out for long. Their eyes, wide and knowing, seemed to see far beyond the present moment, as if they were aware of something no one else could perceive. As they grew, it became clear that Kehinde and Taiwo were no ordinary children. They were inseparable, often speaking in a language only they could understand. Their presence was unsettling. Though they were polite and well-behaved, the villagers couldn't shake the feeling that these twins possessed powers beyond the natural world. Strange occurrences followed them wherever they went. The village goats would bleat in fear, refusing to go near them. The chickens would lay eggs with strange markings, and the village dogs would haul at nothing in particular. Crops that grew near where the twins played often flourished and withered unpredictably, and there were nights when the moon seemed to glow brighter when Kehinde and Taiwo were outside, their gazes fixed on the sky as if communing with it. The twins' mother, Adoni, watched over them with a mixture of love and concern. She knew that her children were special, touched by forces could not fully understand. She sought guidance from the oracles, who told her that the twins were born with a connection to the spirit world, guardians of the thin veil between the living and the dead. The power, the oracles said, was both a blessing and a curse. Despite their nature, Kehinde and Taiwo were kind-hearted. They would often help the villagers in small ways, though their help was sometimes more unsettling than comforting. If a farmer's field was failing, Kehinde would sit inside the soil and hum an unknown tune, and by the next morning the crops would stand tall and strong. Taiwo could calm a crying baby with a single look, but the child would sleep so deeply that its parents would check again and again to make sure it was still breathing. The villagers, torn between gratitude and fear, began to distance themselves from the twins. Mothers would pull their children away when Kehinde and Taiwo approached, and men would avert their eyes, not wanting to catch their penetrating gaze. It wasn't long before rumors spread, whispers that the twins were not truly human, but spirits in disguise, sent to test the village, or perhaps to lead it to ruin. As Kehinde and Taiwo entered their teenage years, a threat emerged in the village. A mysterious illness began to spread, striking down both young and old without warning. The sickness was unlike anything the villagers had seen before. People would suddenly fall ill, their skin turning ash and their strength draining away as if their very life force was being sapped. The villagers, desperate and terrified, turned to Aduni for help. They begged her to perform rituals to banish the sickness, but the illness persisted, defying all remedies. In their desperation, some villagers began to believe that Kehinde and Taiwo were the cause of the plague. They brought this upon us, the elders whispered in fear. They are too powerful, too connected to the other side. We must do something before it is too late. A mob formed with the torches and weapons in hand. They marched to Aduni's home, but as they approached, the sky darkened unnaturally, and a cold wind swept through the village. The twins, standing at the doorway, watched the mob with calm, unblinking eyes. It was then that the villagers hesitated, their fear wavering as they saw the twins' faces, not filled with malice, but with deep sadness. Before anyone could react, the twins spoke in unison, their voices soft, by carrying across the distance. We did not bring this sickness upon you, they said. We are here to help, if only you let us. The villagers paused, uncertain. Aduni stepped forward, her face lined with worry. These children are not to be feared, she said. They have been gifted with a sight beyond sight. If you allow them, they will guide you. The mob wavered, the flames of their torches flickering. It was then that Kehinde and Taiwo raised their hands to the sky, and the clouds parted, revealing the full moon in all its glory. The light battered the village, and in its glow, the villagers felt a strange warmth, as though a heavy burden was being lifted from their shoulders. The twins closed their eyes and began to chant, their voices blending with the wind. The air around them shimmered, and for a moment the villagers swore they saw figures, spirits, perhaps emerging from the shadows drawn to the twins' call. These spirits, benevolent and wise, surrounded the village, their presence soothing the fear of pain of the people. Aduni then led the villagers in a purification ritual, with the twins at the center. The ritual involved offerings to the Orishas and the invocation of ancestral spirits to cleanse the village of the dark energy that had brought the illness. As the ritual reached its climax, the twins' voices grew louder, resonating with power as they commanded the spirits to heal the land. By morning, the illness had lifted, leaving the villagers weak but alive. The fear that had gripped the village was gone, replaced by a deep respect for Kehinde and Taiwo. They were not to be feared, the villagers realized, but they were protectors, guardians of the thin line between the living and the spirit world. From that day on, the twins were no longer shunned. Instead, they were honored and consulted in times of need. They grew into their roles as spiritual guides, using their gifts to help the village in ways they could. Kehinde became known for his wisdom in dealing with matters of the land and nature, while Taiwo was sought after for his ability to communicate with the spirits and ancestors. The twins, now fully aware of their purpose, continued to live quietly in the village, using their powers only when necessary. They taught the villagers how to respect the balance between the physical and spiritual realms, ensuring that harmony was maintained in Olorun village. As the years passed, Kehinde and Taiwo became legendary figures in their village. Their story passed down through generations. They were no longer seen as strange or frightening. but as symbols of the village's connection to the spiritual world. And though they eventually left this world, their spirits remained, watched over the village from the shadows, ensuring that the balance between the realms was never disrupted. The villagers would often speak of the night when the twins saved them, and they would teach their children to respect the unknown, to honor those who walk between worlds, and to remember that not all that is feared is evil, for sometimes the greatest protectors come in the most unexpected forms.